All right, I am going to get us started here. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Maddie Nickel. I serve as our Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement here at Penn Nursing. So in my role, I work with all of our alumni on our great programming, wonderful events, and I'm excited to be here with all of you this evening. So just to kick a couple things off and just share some updates of things that are going on here at the school. Firstly, Penn Nursing is ranked #1 School of Nursing in the world for the 8th year in a row, which is very, very exciting. So that's something that we've been sharing all year and is something we're excited to share. Additionally, we've just had some exciting events lately, one of which was this past Friday. As a part of our homecoming programming, we had a panel focused on psychedelic medicine and the work being done here at the school. It was a great event that was, we had great attendance, and that recording for that event will be available on our website in the coming days. So I encourage anyone who wasn't able to join us to watch that, because it was a great panel highlighting a lot of our faculty here at the school and alumni. So that was wonderful. Some additional things, we have some great fellowship programs here at the school. So we have our second cohort of the Leonard A. Lauder Community Care Nurse Practitioner Program. So they've started their semesters as well, along with the Amy Gutman Leadership Scholars, which has welcomed its third cohort. So we have a lot of really exciting things going on here at the school for alumni and for our students. So it's been a really wonderful start to the semester, and we're looking forward to the rest of the school year. So with that, I will hand things over to the Dean, who will kick us off for the remainder of the webinar. Dean?
I need to turn my camera on. Can you start my camera? There you go. Hi, everybody. You want to put Loretta's on too? There you go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's discussion with our Distinguished Alumni of the Year awardee. It's great to see so many names that I recognize, colleagues, faculty. I see some of our Board of Advisors here as well, and people I haven't seen in a while. So again, just great to have you join us here. It is my privilege to introduce our Penn Nursing Outstanding Alumni Award of the Year. This award recognizes a Penn Nursing graduate who is a leader with an outstanding career that has advanced the profession of nursing. I will tell you that selecting the awardee each year is a tough job because of the incredible and innovative work for which Penn Nursing alumni are known throughout the globe. So tonight we celebrate Dr. Loretta Sweet Jemmott and her many accomplishments as a Penn Nursing alumni and as a faculty. Many of you know Dr. Jemmott as an expert in health promotion research. She is one of the nation's foremost investigators and was really a pioneer in the field of HIV/AIDS prevention, with perhaps the most consistent track record and groundbreaking work in HIV risk reduction interventions. She and her husband, John B. Jemmott, who is faculty here at the Annenberg School, have attracted more than $150 million in NIH funding over the past 2 decades to design and test interventions to reduce the risk of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections, not only in the US, but among diverse populations in the US, Botswana, South Africa, Jamaica, Mexico, and Puerto Rico. They've published numerous peer-reviewed articles and book chapters on the report on STI-related risk. Loretta, as you all know, is an outstanding translational and community-engaged researcher. She's partnered with community-based organizations from churches and clinics to barbershops, housing developments, and schools, transforming her research outcomes for use in real-world settings. To date, 8 of her evidence-based interventions have been designated by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Human Services of the Office of Adolescent Health for national and international dissemination used in 48 states across the nation. As a professor emeriti of nursing, Loretta taught many courses, undergraduate and graduate courses, particularly in the area of AIDS. She had a very famous AIDS case study. She inherited a case study from one of our colleagues who recently passed away, Dr. Roz Watts, teaching the contemporary issues in human sexuality. And she prepared a number of programs to look at urban campus and community norms with the Pennsylvania Center for Community Partnership. Loretta is deeply committed to mentoring minority faculty and students, and she launched the Hampton Penn Project, a mentoring and research training collaboration with another one of her favorite alma maters, Hampton University School of Nursing. And I see Dr. Jackie Fawcett on the line here too, so I knew who was also instrumental in this initiative. Currently, Loretta is Vice President of Health and Health Equity and professor at Drexel College at the College of Health and Health Professions. And I also want to share in full disclosure on a personal note that Loretta has been a classmate, although we laugh because I never saw her in class, has been a good mentor, a colleague, and a friend, and someone who inspires me. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Loretta Sweet Jemmott. And again, congratulations again, Loretta. I hope it's okay that I call you Loretta in this setting here, but with total respect for your credentials. Congratulations on being chosen for this year's Penn Nursing Outstanding Alum.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here and to be selected to receive this awesome award. I'm so grateful.
Great. So Loretta, I think as we talked about, we just want to engage ourselves in a conversation about what makes you you, and how Penn has been the role that Penn played in your journey. So can you tell us about your journey here at Penn, and maybe start with your journey as a student, and then we'll go on from there. Tell me about how you ended up here at Penn, what you thought you were going to do here, what changed your trajectory, and let's just start there.
Wow, thank you, Tony. And can I call you Tony in this scene too?
Oh, please do.
Oh, thank you, Tony. This has been an exciting journey. You know, I like telling this story because it reminds me of different young people in the community who look like me, who don't know how to climb this ladder of success. I'm a first-generation college kid, born and raised in a poverty community in West Philadelphia. I went through public school systems and went to Overbrook High School. Woohoo, Overbrook. And then I always wanted to be a nurse. I've always wanted to be a nurse, man. I got hit by a car when I was 7 years old in second grade, and playing hide and go seek and run between two parked cars, and was rushed to the hospital at Temple, and then sent to St. Chris. And I was in a body cast with broken legs, and you're 7 years old, you're crying at night, but these people in white uniforms were coming to my room and making me feel okay and talking to me all night long. And when I said, I want to be, well, I like them. They were so nice. When I grew up, I want to be like them too. So when I told my daddy, he said, you want to be what? So we ended up to college. And so they were on their journey with me, trying to figure out how the little girl was going to be this nurse she wanted to be. And I started my journey after I graduated from Overbrook and went to Temple. But Temple was racist back in those days, in the 70s, early 70s. They didn't want to help me be the nurse I wanted to be. And just on a humble, I went down to Hampton on a homecoming party girl, and went down there and went into the School of Nursing and introduced myself. And a faculty member said to me, who are you, young lady? I said, my name is Loretta Sweet. She said, how can I help you? I said, I want to be a nurse, and I'm at Temple, and they tell me I can't be a nurse. She said to me, well, Miss Sweet, if you really want to be a nurse, come on down here and we'll help you be a nurse. You know me, I went and got my forms, I transferred, I was down in Hampton that next semester, and the rest is history. So when I graduated from Hampton, I came back to Philly to work as a nurse and wanted to get a master's, but didn't know where to go. I always wanted to stamp out teen pregnancy. Teen pregnancy was in my community growing up in the 70s. Back in those days, if you got pregnant, you were kicked out of school, you were sent down south, and your parents couldn't do anything about it. And so I was seeing my high school graduate, but he's not be around anymore. and we all knew what was happening. And so, one thing in the hood at graduation time, I'm taking this long story short, but I got to tell you this. Graduation, prom time is senior light. And so during senior time, everybody goes to prom. But all girls know that if you go to prom, somebody's going to try to, excuse my language, try to get a little bit. And so we had to figure out how you're not going to do that and get pregnant and not go graduate. So I went down to Planned Parenthood, learned all the information about preventing teen pregnancy, came back to my high school class, shared all the information. So I became a peer educator at the age of 16 and 17, learned all that stuff, became a nurse, and still wanted to do that. So my whole trajectory was already pretty planned out. I came to Penn. We don't go to Penn, we go to Penn Relays. And so I happened to be looking at this because I didn't see a lot of Black folks at Penn. But
Loretta, what made you choose the psych mental health area as
let's get at the luncheon. There was a luncheon right there. That Penn had a recruitment day, and they had all the department chairs at the luncheon explaining their program. So I was going to get a master's in healthcare of women because I wanted to stop teenage pregnancy, and sexual health of women was coming together. Barbara Lowry stood up and talked about the psych mental health program, the adolescent track, the children's track, the family track, and how important it was. I knew then that this was something I wanted to do. She was so warm and engaging. So after the luncheon, after the speaker's part, I went over to her table and introduced myself. And she shook my hand and she says, "Well, tell me a little bit about you, Loretta." And I was so nervous. And so I said, "I'm Loretta Sweet, and I just want to stamp out teen pregnancy because it's a real issue in our community, and mental health is the answer." She said, "But come on down and apply." I applied. I was in her class, and that began my trajectory at Penn. Barbara Lau was my mentor. I had imposter syndrome coming from a historically Black college through Penn. It was a difficult journey and transition. I was sitting in class like this, and Barbara Lowry said to me, "Come talk to me," after class. And she was just the one person that showed me that I belonged and I was good. And then after that, I met Roz Watts, who said, "You belong, you can do this." And I took her human sexuality course. So between Roz Watts and Barbara Lowry, I knew I was at a good place to succeed. And from that on, I went off my PhD and kept going. But because of those two ladies at that critical time in my life, the master's program was 1 year. Within that 1 year, they turned me around and helped me stand up on my ground and helped me believe that I belonged, and in decreasing that imposter syndrome that was critical. And because of those two ladies, that's the kind of nursing professor I became, the kind of belonging and making people feel good about they belong and treating them with respect and dignity and below and errand to people. So that's my journey.
So, Loretta, how from that journey, from stamping out teen pregnancy, even as a good high school peer mentor, did you decide to go into research?
No. Okay. Jackie Foster, whoever else on this phone that taught me in research and methods and theoretical models and constructs, I was so confused about all of that. I didn't know what to do with any of that. So when I went to the PhD program and was trying to think about how to design it, okay, you could do all these programs you want to do. If you hate statistics and you don't know about theoretical framework, why are you in a graduate program? You got to do a dissertation. So at the end of the day, you can take all the classes you want, but you still got to do a dissertation. So I was scared of the research word, and I didn't like the S word, statistics. But I had to figure out how was that going to do that. All I had to do was create a question. Create a question. Once you create a question that makes sense to you, then all you got to do is find the way to answer the question with model and with some numbers, which is called statistics. So the theory and the numbers helped me pull it all together. I was getting a PhD because I was going to be, Roz Watts taught me to be the new PhD in sexuality. I was going to be the Black doctor of Ruth Westheimer. I was going to go around the country and talk about sexual health. And so but with my PhD, my master's in psych nursing, and my PhD, I could do those things. But instead, I got bitten by the research bug in the PhD program. I became Dr. Sweet Jemmott, the researcher instead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not sure that was the only influence that got you into research and to help appreciate.
Oh, now when I married a man along the way, let me tell you the real truth now. Okay, because my boyfriend, who became my husband, was a statistics professor in psychology at Princeton, who really shaped my thinking about how important research is. And in the doctoral program, when it came time for me to try to analyze my data, he asked me, was I serious about research? And I said, no. And he said, well, I'm not going to help you go through this. And I said, okay, I'm serious. I'm serious. And so he didn't do it for me. He showed me how to do it in a way that made sense. And I began to like it. And so that's the true answer to that question, Tony, because you knew that one.
But I'm not sure everybody did, and I'm sure everybody was curious as
So the
to,
key to that is date the right partner along life's journey, and it can help you in many ways.
very good. So, Loretta, how did you get into, you said your research, and again, knowing John's research as a social psychologist, what got you into the intervention work? And specifically around HIV/AIDS, because we could be doing descriptive work for a long time.
Yeah.
But what got you into the intervention area?
Thank you, Tony. That's a great question. I'm from the school of the so what theory. Like, so what, you got a PhD? So what, you got some descriptive answers to important questions. What are you going to do about it? So we know the issue of teenage sexual risk behavior, people at risk for teen pregnancy and STDs. But when I was in the PhD program, this little thing called HIV was coming along in 1985 and 86. They was trying to figure out, how did you get HIV? What was it? Then you figured you get it from sex. And then we realized that the same behaviors that was getting my kids pregnant and STDs was getting them infected with the virus. So we had to do something about it. And so my husband and I sat down and looked at my dissertation results and looked at, because my dissertation was on the sexual risk behavior of Black young men, adolescent males. And it was those behaviors that was getting my girls pregnant and infected. And so I tried to do something about that. We designed our first intervention to reduce sexual risk behavior of Black young men, adolescents. And I hired my professors to be my consultants on our first grant. And so we wrote the grant, got it funded. John was the PI. We used the intervention, everything I learned in the graduate program and the PhD program. We sat down, let Roz and all the other people look at it, and did the randomized control trial, and it was, and it puts on them from that point forward. We did it with boys and we did it with girls, got more funding, did it with more girls and more older teens, and then got more funded, did it with youth, with like teenage youth, and then kept going on. And so it's about asking the right question and trying to find the answer, and staying on point with interventions that can change behaviors. So it's exciting.
So Loretta, I know that, again, from your doing research, not in the community, but with the community, both in relation to the clinical trials, but also I think on the journey that you were on in the dissemination of these evidence-based interventions with communities from the CDC program. What are lessons learned, or we learn a lot in school, but we also learn a lot from the community. So what were some lessons learned that you carry with you that you would want us to understand as well?
Well, Tony, during that whole dissemination phase, when our work was listed on the CDC website for the evidence-based programs and the Office of Adolescent Health Programs, that was a big turn for our careers, and yours too. We was all in this thing together, trying to look at how do we know how to do these interventions, we know how to design them and make them efficacious. So the key thing is, how do you train other people to do the work to keep it efficacious? And so we had to come up with training manuals and training models for us to be able to get people to really be you or be me out in the world today, to try to keep it going and keep it efficacious. There's lots of things I learned along the way in terms of meeting people where they are. Because I was in Philadelphia doing the next thing, I'm in Idaho. Now I'm in North Dakota. Now I'm in Hawaii. Now I'm in wherever. So we have to like slow it down, listen to the community, figure out what their voices are. How do we adapt these interventions for the various cultural contexts that we find ourselves in, and empower the community who we train to do it and let them do it. But keeping the core elements of the intervention, we was able to train and disseminate and create new leaders in this domain. It was a wonderful opportunity to do that. And so that was very helpful. And what I also learned, Tony, along that journey is that there was a professor at Penn that I took in a PhD program named Eli Anderson. He wrote this wonderful book called The Code of the Streets. And I'll never forget that course. Anytime I took that course, like in 1985 or 86. And in his book, he says, if you really want to do something about a certain population, understand the health issues, you got to take time to know their code of their streets. why people walk the way they walk, talk the way they talk, do what they do. It all has meaning to who they are, who they represent as a culture, as a population. And if we don't take the time to understand people's code of their street, we'll never get people to change their behavior, to promote their health and be inclusive, because we don't know what it is. And so I tell people to take your time to understand the community, learn their code of the streets, hang out for a minute before you go in there and tell them what to do. And with that in mind, since 1985 and 86, I designed all my interventions and all my programs based on taking the time to understand people's codes of their streets, their issues, their cultural context, their people, their language, their bodies, and whatever, so that whenever I pull something together with my team, it meets their needs and takes them where they want to go. So that's one of the major things I like to say about that.
So I think just to expand on that, you mentioned, your work has always been community engaged, and you just gave us some good examples. But I think you've also developed what you call 8 pillars, and they begin with the T. So I like that because I'm Tony. But you have 8 pillars of community engagement. So you want to share some of that with us? Because I think those are, when I looked at those,
Yeah.
those seem to be like a culmination of what you've learned in your career. So you want to talk, I don't know if you want to talk about all 8 of them, but if you want to talk about some of
So
them.
what happens is that we design all this work. Maybe we got like 30 years of a history of designing interventions of HIV and doing all this training around the country. But if you look at that, we've always looked at outcomes. Did they work or did they not work? So what I learned now, Tony, that it's just as important to look at process as it is as outcomes. And so what I'm doing now is taking time to look at the process of what we did and why are these interventions working so well and what happened in this and how do we engage people. And that's when I came up with the, Jammott's model of community engagement using these 8 pillars, which really is, the first thing is trust. You got to take the time to build a trust in the community. If they don't trust you, they're not going to want to work with you. So it's trust. In other words, take the time to do it. Build a team. Not just bring. We tend to be researchers thinking we know it all, but we got to build a team with the community residents being part of our team too. We got another T is talk to people. We always think we know what it is, but we got to talk and listen, do more listening than talking. But the way we talk to people is critical. We got to have tenacity, because sometimes it's not as easy as it is to go back and forth. So we got to be at the door all the time. We got to be transparent because people see right through us. If we're not real and we fake, it's not good. We got to make sure that we see they have talent. And the last one is tireless faith. So it's trust, it's time, it's team, it's talk to people, have talent, tenacity, transparency, and tireless faith, and never giving up and staying at the table. Because when I learned one day, this guy said to me, he said, Dr. Jemmott, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. So stop letting the community eat us, let the leaders eat us up. Be the community, give us a break. And he also learned that there's always a meeting before the meeting. Can you invite us to that first meeting? Because by the time y'all come to us, y'all already got the thing all planned out. So I'm learning more by taking some steps back and listening to the community's voices. And it goes to the play that we've seen, Hamilton. I love the play Hamilton when Jefferson is mad because he's not in the room with the table because Hamilton got invited and he didn't get. He said, Dad, what's going on in that room? What's going on in that room? He said, I want to be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. So that's what the community wants. They want to be in the room where it happens. And my job is to open up the door to let them into the room so that we can hear their voices and design programs that's based on their voices.
So Loretta, I'm going to say, I am sure that many people think that what you do is easy. They might say, well, she grew up in the community, she's Black, she belongs to the community, they automatically trust who I am. And you play another role as a university professor, certainly from Penn and now Drexel. So how has it been to walk in between there, and tell us how easy it's been for you?
Oh, Tony, this road has not been easy. We serve a God that tried to make crooked road straight. And so there's crooked roads along the way, and he straightens them out for us as we stay on the road. But if we got to stay on the road, And so being a Black professor in a predominantly white institution has not been an easy journey for myself or others who look like me. So just even in, I don't want to name all the institutions that I've been through, but each one had its own challenges to be successful in. From people not wanting to work with you, from people not wanting to talk to you, from people not wanting to believe in you, from deans who don't want to sign your grants because they don't think you should get it funded, and to the point where people are telling you your research is weak and you're never going to get a funded grant, to keep moving and not getting discouraged, to getting tenure and then getting promoted to full professor and still feeling good, but sometimes people still say you don't belong. And so you still, no matter how high you climb up, so there's always somebody that's trying to put to your head that you don't belong, and you still have this imposter syndrome. So I am now vice president of the University of Drexel. I'm vice president of Drexel University, focusing on health and health equity out of the office of the president. And I'm also a professor in the College of Nursing and Professions. And still, around the world, people want to do stuff. So what you learn to do is you gotta stay focused, stay straight, stay engaged, have good friends, and not give up, because the enemy wants you to give up and wants you to fail. And so you just find yourself a good group of sister friends or brother friends or whoever your friends are, and you just stay straight, because God wants you to get the crooked roads, he'll straighten them out for you, but you got to just stay on them so he can knock the enemy out your way and keep you going. So stay tireless faith. That's what I'm talking about. That's what got me through. And it's not an easy journey, but I tell young Black and brown girls who look like me to stay at the road, stay on the road, do not give up, don't turn around, stay focused, and you can do it too. So, it's just been hard, Tony. So I need to make it and be honest about it. People look at me and think this thing has been, wow, she got here and she must have had it easy. No, every road there was something. And so, but I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I never gave up, and I will never give up. And so as we mentor new young Black and brown students of color, our job as mentors and as leaders is to help them not give up too. Because it's so easy today to be bombarded. It's so easy to get the door slammed in your face and you say, well, I'm tired of this, and give up. We cannot give up. We cannot give up. Our job as leaders is to give voice to the voiceless, give hope to the hopeless, and I got this other one, give life to the lifeless, because it's just really instrumental. We can't do that. And so we did that at Penn. I know between the Rods and the Fridas and the people who was at Penn Nursing when I was there, are you kidding me? They would lift me up. And so when they were leaving, my job was to continue to lift other people up. And so we had a good cadre at Penn Nursing for a long time. They were over there in the Center for Health Equity and the Center for Urban Health, and then the Center for, we just really moved things around. The T32s, the training programs we did with young juniors, PhD students and postdocs and other programs at Hampton, how we brought people together. It was a nice journey and a nice ride, but the bottom line, man, is you got to hold on. Look, one lady in church said to me the other day, she says, you got to just hold on to that rope and never let it go. Hold on to it, just hold that rope and never let it go. Every time she sees me in church, she says, are you still holding on to that rope? I said, yes, ma'am, I'm holding on to that rope. So we just hold on to that rope and never let it go. And sometimes you slide down, but grab it again.
And Loretta, I know that there's still folk that are come up to me and remember the impact that the Summer Research Institute that you all did for many years, how that impacted many people's trajectory. So
you never know who Tony, we were doing that because that was the right thing to do. It was just the right thing to do. We did not know how it was going to be so impactful on all these wonderful sisters and brothers that were coming to the program. And you would see them now, they're tenured professors at different places and got funding and they're leaders. And so, it goes down to what Maya Angelou says. She says, it's not, people remember what you said or what you did, they remember how you made them feel. And what we did to that group of young students or PhD folks is we made them feel good about self. feel good about what they were trying to do. We believed in them and we answered their questions. And at the end, they were tearful because nobody at their institution was blowing air into them the way we do. And so I tell people, you know, we walk around this world today and as a balloon. And sometimes our balloon are blown up all the way. Sometimes our balloon is deflated a little bit. And so what our job is to continue to blow air into people. And that's our job, is just put your lips together and just blow some air in them and help people stand up straight and do their thing, as opposed to trying to suck the air out of them. And so we're the balloon blowers, Tony, me and you. Blow them balloons, baby.
So Loretta, this is a question that we had asked some of our alums to say, what would you like to know from Dr. Jemmott? So one of the questions was wanting to hear about what you consider one of your greatest successes. And again, I'm going to ask you maybe to think about not the awards, not the accolades, which you have many, but a particular instance or a particular thing that you felt particularly proud of. It's like, my job is done, or I did good today.
Wow. Wow. I have little tidbits of them. You know, like the first time you get a grant, you say, oh wow, I made it. Or your first time you get a pub, you say, oh, I've done that. Or your study gets accepted for dissemination around the globe. You say, wow, I've done that. And then you say, wow, I got funded. I'm in Africa now doing all this wonderful stuff. So each one of them were like a, but I'm gonna tell you, the most special moment for me was seeing my daughter walk across the stage, getting her master's degree from Penn Nursing. That was one of the most aha moments. I could just sit still now. Because my daughter went to Hampton University, came out with her degree in nursing, and then she got accepted to Penn Nursing and got her master's in psych mental health nursing as an NP and graduated a couple years ago. And I never knew how I would feel until I saw her do that. That was just the aha moment for me. And then for her to now be at Duke working on her PhD in nursing. But it was that journey, the imposter syndrome, the feeling of uncertainty, all that coming from an HBCU to a predominantly white institution, and somebody over at Penn blowing air into her. That is, that's the moment, Tony.
Very good. And of course, you know, Jolie is here with us. I don't know if you saw, hey, Jolie.
I can't see the people. I don't know who's in the room.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Jolie. And I share the pride that your mom has in you, and glad that you were with us, and you were an Amy Gutman Scholar. So had a chance to be part of your journey here at Penn. So Loretta, now I'm going to ask you about one of your biggest challenges and what you learned from that particular challenge. I know you mentioned in broad strokes about the imposter syndrome, about people trying to deflate you, if that's what using your balloon analogy. But what other, I don't know if you have a specific example of a challenge that you fought to overcome, or just something that knocked the wind out of you.
Oh God, and knocked the wind out of you. Whoa, Jesus. So I got the wind knocked out and blown back up again. Thank you for those who blew air. But the first time it happens, it throws you off your walk because you're not ready for it. So my first time I got knocked off my ladder was when I was hired as a nursing professor at a given university to teach psych mental health nursing. I'm a brand new PhD, brand new professor, and I get to the school and they tell me I can't teach psych nursing because I have a weak master's. So I'm saying, a weak master's? I got a master's from Penn Nursing. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? And she says, no, your master's is weak. You can't teach psych nursing here. And so what do I teach then? So they made me teach fundamentals and hand washing. I'm the only Black professor. I had to teach hand washing and fundamentals. And then they put me in maternity. I never taught maternity and labor and delivery, but they put me in a maternity class with students at a clinical site. So that made me have to go learn it all. So and then nobody would talk to me because they didn't want to work with me, and nobody wanted to be my research partner. It was just a horrible first 2 years as a new professor. However, again, I had good folks in my life and a good partner. You know, my husband just said, if they don't want to work with you, it's okay, I'll work with you. I said, thank you. And the research dean at the place told me, and the other thing they said to me was, your research area in AIDS is weak. You don't need to be working in AIDS. You're going to find a cure for that. So you need to change your research area. So I'm just a new professor. I'm excited about my area of research. So I can't do the research I want to do. I can't teach the course I want to teach. I'm not good enough to be here. So all that happened. So that's the first time. But after a couple of years of that and staying at the table and going back to work when I really didn't want to go back to work, going to that clinical site when I didn't want to go to that clinical site, having students tell me, they had a student say she didn't want to be in my clinical group because I was a Black professor. And they let her go. Those kind of things that happened my first couple of years broke my spirit, but then strengthened me too, to never give up. So within a year or two after that, John said to me, my husband's name is John, he said, find out where they publish their articles at. And I said, what does that mean? He said, what you want to do is find out where they publish their articles at, and then you're going to publish your stuff there too and see what happens. Just stay focused. The name they're trying to knock you off your game. Don't let them knock you off your game. Get your research publications, Loretta, and publish where they publish. So I did that. And then after a couple of years, they said, hi, Loretta. Great article, Loretta. Nice work, Loretta. I said, oh, man. Now I belong because that published, it was amazing. So it was just staying straight, staying like Beverly Malone saw me at that school too. And she said, who are you and why? Nobody know you here. Who are you again, little girl? I said, my name is Loretta Sweet. She said, well, nobody knows you and nobody knows you're here. So I said, okay, what do I do? And she told me, she said, you got to get your publications out. You got to get some presentations. She told me what to do. 2 years later, I saw her at a conference and I said, Dr. Malone, how do you know me now? She said, do I know you? Everybody knows you now. Great work. So it was different people coming at the right time to say what to do. And so it was that. It was good having good people never give up on you, you know. And so, and the journey kept coming on. It was the people at Penn Nursing, like Jackie and it was just all those people that just believed in me. By the time I was able, when I got tenure at Penn, that was it. And I got tenure at these other places too. By the time I came to Penn, that's my third place with tenure. But it was just that I belonged now. And so my research was going and I could walk the walk and talk the talk and chew gum at the same time, you know?
So Loretta, this is a question that came from some of our alums, and I think you've given us a lot of gems already. But if you were, this is the question, if you were to write a letter to a new assistant professor, Dr. Jemmott, if you were to write a letter to your younger self.
I can't hear you. Wait. I can't.
I've turned it up.
Okay, I can't hear you.
You hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Say what you say again. Write a letter.
If you were going to write a letter to Assistant Professor Dr. Jemmott, what are the one or two things that you would put in your letter to your younger self?
Is she just starting out, or is she in her third or fourth year? Where is she?
Dr. Jemmott, you can make it up.
Okay. She's just starting out. And I'm writing her this letter. I would say, dear Dr. Jemmott, you have no clue of how great you're going to be. Just do yourself a favor and not take this work too seriously that you forget who you are. Stay straight, stay focused, don't give up, and believe in yourself, because you can do it. Surround yourself with good people. Just stay focused and never give up. And believe in yourself and stay close to God, because that's the answer to that question. But I would tell her, sometimes we take ourselves too seriously and we forget that there's really more to this than it's life. It's about, you want to be successful, but you also want to have a life at the same time. And you take yourself so seriously that you forget about living at the same time. So how do you have work-life balance and all of this stuff that we're trying to do? And so it took me a minute to figure that out, you know. So I would tell her that, and I would tell her, smile and have some fun, but stay writing, stay focused, get the work done. write those articles, write those pubs, get that research going, but never give up, but have fun along the way. If it's not, I tell people, and I would tell her that find a research question that you like. Find something that gives you joy and passion in the moment that you want to find an answer for or cure about, and then stay on that journey and take it to the end and find the best intervention or best program that can save some lives for the issue that you are really passionate about. And that is what you should do for your career, is just find something you like, stay on it, find a cure for it, find an intervention for it, answer some of those research questions, and make an impact. But it's got to be something that you really care about. And if you really care about it, little young lady, you're going to be successful in it. Believe me. That's what I would say.
Related to that, somebody asked, and again, I think these are the same lessons, but any advice that you would have for any junior scientist of color?
Say it again.
Advice for junior scientists of color, young faculty of color.
Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Yes. Don't give up. I remember that but I remember I used to have my junior faculty of color come to my house for Christmas, and we would decorate my Christmas tree, and I would have them come over and we would talk. And they could be postdocs, they could be doctoral students, and they would come over. And I remember one day, every year, it would be every year. And then finally they got the gumption up to say to me, Dr. Jemmott, we just want you to know that when we finish, we're not going to do the kind of work you're going to do. We're going to go be in the pharmaceuticals. We're going to go do this. It's an easier road than doing that. I just said, oh my goodness. I said, can you come on, can you fill my glass up with a little bit more wine before I respond to that? And then they said, okay, they filled it up. And I just said, no, you're not. No, you are not going to give up this road. You are not going to go be in the pharmacology stuff. You are not going to do this. You need to be at the table. We need to have young Black faculty so that other students can see you. Because if they can't see you, they can't be you. And so my advice to them is, even though the road is hard, stay on the road. But if we don't do that, they will never see us and they can never be us. And I'll work hard with you. I'll hold your hand. I'll blow air on your balloon for you. I'll read your papers. I'll edit your grants. But just stay at the table. We cannot lose you. We cannot lose you. And no, if you need me, call me. This is serious. So whoever's listening to this, I'm really committed to this. So we cannot lose any faculty of color, a young person who's a scholar of color, or even the students of color in doctoral programs. We cannot afford to lose you to these other career opportunities, because we need you in the academy. And so yes, that's my advice, is just please stay at the table. And if you need help for somebody to blow air on you, find us. Tony, myself, there's faculty around the country that'll be more than happy to blow air on you so that you don't feel deflated and get this imposter syndrome that's kicking in the butt. Because you do belong, you do belong, you do belong, you're good. Come on, guys. So yeah, we got to do more of that. So please stay at the table.
So Loretta, do you want to share a little bit about the work that you're doing at Drexel, and how your experiences, not just at Penn, but whatever prepared you, and then the community prepared you for the work that you're doing and what you're hoping to achieve?
Okay, yes, thank you, Tony. For my whole career, I've been doing community engaged work. From the time I was an undergraduate at Hampton, to the time I was a nursing student at Penn, to the time I started doing intervention science, trying to look at ways to change risky behaviors. So it's trying to always be about, how are we going to recruit the young people to our studies? How are we going to get kids to come out on a Saturday all day long to hang out with you? It wasn't worth the $20 you was giving them. They got to hear a different message. And so we created different kind of messages to kind of recruit young people to come out to our programs. And what I figured out was, this is working in and of itself. You got to really have a community engaged pitch, a community engaged voice, a community engaged way to get people to believe in what you're saying, to come to learn about what you're trying to get them to learn about. And so I was doing that at all the studies. And even when we went to South Africa and Jamaica, just trying to get young people to come to these programs and taking our time to learn their code of the streets. And so when I got to Drexel, President Fry was very committed to his civic engaged work and wanted to do something about the health of the neighborhood where Drexel was, which is right around the Promise Zone, right near between Penn and Drexel. And the beautiful thing is where I grew up. I grew up in the Promise Zone. The impoverished neighborhood was my neighborhood, and my cousins and relatives and some of my friends were still living in that neighborhood. And so I had the opportunity to do something about it. And so what I decided to do was to create an initiative called We're Here Because We Care, building healthy communities together. And there was 10 neighborhoods in the Promise Zone, and all 10 of them had different leaders, different groups, community civic organizations. So I had to figure out who were the leaders in all 10 of these neighborhoods and then work with them to create health initiatives. But they were tired of being surveyed. They were tired of being studied. They said, that can just come and talk to us. Just come and talk to us. And so it took me about 15 months to talk to over 1,100 people. And Tony, I'm a quantitative girl. I do a survey in a minute. I might do focus groups to kind of understand some of the issues, but I'm not doing a whole bunch of focus groups. Tony, I did about 75 focus groups, 90-something one-on-one key interviews. I did street talks. I had breakfast with people on Saturday mornings. I went out to dinner. I just made sure I talked to folks in each of those 10 neighborhoods. And out of those 10 neighborhoods, and out of neighborhoods and 700 people emerged 7 buckets of health issues of concern. And so with that data, I shared it with President Fry. He said, what do they want? I said, they want a community wellness hub. They want a place where they can come and get service and feel like they belong in this treatment, because it was chronic diseases was number one, all of them. Hypertension, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, you name it. Another one was mental health issue, behavioral health, suicide, all the other issues that was going on. Another one was sexual health, and all the stuff was going on with sexual health, access to care, access to food. I mean, they live in the food desert right out there, environmental health, all the things that are going on in there. And so we aging in place, everything that was happening. And so we created Community Wellness Hub. And so right now, a beautiful nurse named Monica Harmon, who used to work at Penn Nursing, now is the executive director of the Community Wellness Hub. Marcy Penn and I ran it for the first 3 years as the pilot, but now Monica has it. And out of that emerged the Cancer Wellness Hub, because cancer was a big issue in the Black community too. And so I went back to the community one more time, talked to over 400 people to see whether they wanted us to focus on cancer and what types of cancer, what were the needs and concerns and worries and myths about cancer. So then we designed a cancer initiative that Marcy runs right now. And it's really empowering the community around cancer awareness, prevention, screening, treatment, and clinical trials, so that we can deal with cancer, because it's killing us, but it doesn't have to. So we're telling people that, come on, guys, let's screen it, treat it, beat it. And that's what we're doing now in the West Philadelphia community. Our offices is down at the Dornsife Center at 35th and Spring Garden. And that's where the hubs are. And so that's what my claim to fame, that's what I did now. And that's what I'm excited about doing related to health. And I'm also leading an HBCU initiative that's with health sciences and STEM and partnerships. So I can tell you more about that, but that's exciting too.
Are you doing that at Hampton?
Hampton's one of them, I stay with Hampton.
Tell us how you were Miss
Lincoln,
Hampton.
Connor,
Tell us how you were Miss Hampton.
Okay, I didn't want to tell that story, but since you brought it up.
You did.
I was, as I transferred to Hampton, I was wanting to kind of have an impact and wanted to do something. And so I ran for Miss Hampton. And back in those days, now in the 70s, Miss Hampton was not a beauty pageant. It was a political campaign. We had our afros and our power. So we was trying to make a difference. And so we had to create a community initiative that was going to be impactful. And so my community initiative was creating King Street Community Center, because there was no community center in Hampton, Virginia for the kids to play in. And so they needed a safe place to play in. So I joined this community and raised all this money for the King Street Community Center. And 5 years later, after I graduated from Hampton, they brought me down there to show me King Street Community Center was built. And they have my name in the wall, that thanks to Loretta Sweet for what she did for that. So Miss Hampton had an impact, girl. And the funny thing about it, one thing that I did that was funny too, when you're a senior in college, you have to write what you want to do when you finish what you want to do. So Miss Hampton had this little booklet and what I wanted to do when I graduated. And before my mother passed, she found it and gave it to me. And it had everything I'm doing now. I want to be doing public health and have an impact in the world to promote health around the. I can't believe I had that kind of vision at 21 that I'm doing today.
Loretta, I'm glad you told that story because I thought you were going to tell us about how you in your convertible were throwing out sweets.
See, Tony, when I was running for Miss Hampton, there was a song, they had a campaign. And so I didn't have a whole bunch of money to the campaign, but we had this song called Let's Sweeten Up Sweets. Let's sweeten up Hampton with sweets as Miss Hampton. So we had candy everywhere in people's mailbox, put little signs on them with sweeten up Hampton. And I won by a landslide because we were making Hampton sweet. It was fun. I enjoy my Hampton days. I enjoy my Penn days. I enjoy my current days. It's just a journey and a ride that I wouldn't change.
Great. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I just realized, sorry to the audience, that if there are questions that you have for Loretta, we still have some time, so feel free to type. But the last question I want to ask you, that again, that came from our alums, Loretta, is what's next? What's next for me, Tony, as we look at aging and this process of where we are and Maslow's hierarchy, or to me, we just at the give back phase, the generativity person. I'm just trying to give back. And so what's good for me these next 5 years or changes to create a way to really give back and train this next generation so that if something happens, we have a strong cadre of junior faculty, new people in the academy, new people in the PhD programs, helping people believe that they can do it. Because sometimes, we come from generations of families that don't have, and we got to make sure first generation kids can believe in themselves. And so what's next for me is to really create this program of training the trainer, trying to get the next generation. And so that's what I want to be able to do. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to get that started, whether it's write a book about it, whether it's I don't do this podcast stuff everybody else do, but I know I can go around the country and talk about how to do that with different places and spaces, because we can be, I remember I was going to go be a dean. Sorry for this, Tony, but I was going to be a dean somewhere. And I was offered the job, and it was so exciting. And I was going to go be a dean, and I called the president of the university was calling me because they wanted my answer, and I didn't know what to do. And so I called my mentor from Hampton, who used to be the dean. After she left Hampton, she became the dean at Howard and became the dean and then she went down to Duke with the dean from Yale. They became good friends. And so I called her and I said, I'm stuck. And she said, Sweet, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, I know, but I got to give somebody an answer at 8. I need to talk to you. So I ran it by her. And I said, do I become a dean? What do I do? What do I do? And she said, you really wanted the truth? I said, yes, ma'am, more than anything. She said, okay. The answer is no. What? I was like, what? No, don't be a dean. She says, Sweet, you're one of the few Black professors out here who's doing scholarship, who's publishing, who's making an impact. Some of us do that and then we stop and become deans. But we need to have more people in the classroom to see you, to be you. And so she made me say no to the dress. But I'm so glad that I stayed, because I'm telling other people stay at the dress, stay there. Because they need to see us. And see, Tony, the beautiful thing about you and your deanship, you're a scholar. You are a scholar. You did all the work that you did before, and you're doing it now. You see it, you be it, they want to be you. It's the same thing. And so it's really critical that that we give back and they see us doing that, and we stay at the table so that the next generation can see that. And so I said no. I stayed at Penn. I stayed 10 more years at Penn. And I'm glad I did. I'm so glad I did. Because after that, I got a new grant and another grant and trained more students, and became a real fun thing to do. So that's what I did. So I want to train more people to be scholarships and never give up. And
to take on people like you, Tony, who told me I was wrong.
I told you were what?
I remember when we first started out, oh, you said, I'm not sure, Loretta. When we was talking about whether Latina and Black students need the same curriculum. And I was like saying, and we did a study that said that race doesn't matter and gender doesn't matter. Look at the data, Tony. And she says, well, I believe that, Latina youth need something extra. I'm like saying, well, come hang out with me and let's go see. And so we did that. And so we became colleagues and friends because I listened to you, and then we started working on Latina youth issues, and it was wonderful. But it was when we take our time to listen to our colleagues and we grow together and never giving up. And so that's what I see us doing.
And Loretta, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the mentorship. I tell John, I remember an incident when you introduced me to him. I felt like I was a little lost kitten, and it's like, hey, can't we keep her, John? She's smart. She's doing work with Latinos. I felt like a lost kitten. So now when I introduce him to people, and it's like, John was my mentor, they act like, what? So it's just nice having him around. It's great being in a place where you're around as well. I don't see any questions, although I did see a shout out from from an Overbrook colleague who said Overbrook is great. I know Joan was a graduate there, so she was excited that she was going to see an Overbrook and Penn friend. But I want to thank you for engaging in this conversation with us. We'll show you who was here, because I know you're a little technology challenged, but there are lots of friends, past advisees, mentors, colleagues that are here. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us today and for being engaged with Penn and Penn Nursing. I am very privileged to be dean of this outstanding school, and it's outstanding. I always say it's because of our students, our faculty, our alums, and again, just grateful for all that you give and all that you support for Penn. We are here for you. Lots of exciting things going on. Please stay engaged with us. And I'm going to turn that over to Maddie because I'm getting into her spiel. But Loretta, just again, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on being honored by the alumni group and by the students and faculty with whom you've touched. So we look forward to the next chapter, and look forward to being part of the success that you continue to have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean, and thank you, Dr. Jemmott. I mean, this was amazing. I'm like sitting here with a smile on my face the whole time. It was just wonderful. But and thank you also to all of our attendees as well. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But just to wrap things up, and again, just quickly, obviously, the dean mentioned Loretta was our wonderful Outstanding Alumni Award winner this past year. And this is a great kickoff actually to open nominations for this coming year. So I'll send out some additional information to all of our attendees tomorrow, but nominations are now open if you'd like to honor an amazing alum like Dr. Jemmott. The deadline is until January, so you have time, but I just want to give that a little shout out as well to give this an opportunity to highlight some amazing alumni, because I know we have so many of them. So I just encourage you all to figure that out and find someone to nominate, because we're very excited to honor some exciting work that's being done. So with that, I will wrap it up, and thank you again, Dean, and thank you again so much, Dr. Jemmott, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.